Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 373.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, and I'm your host, Jay Massey, and I'm glad that you're here today because we are going to have what I believe is going to be a very interesting discussion about technology and the role that it's playing in business, and more importantly, the intersection of technology and various different facets of, well, all of our lives. And I think it's amazing some of the things that technology can do. As you guys know, I'm a total Apple fanboy, and we love technology, especially as it helps us do more, understand more, be able to accomplish more. And well, today's guest is none other than Yuval Mor. Well, here's my point. Here's the point to understand, though, is that he's got experience in the startup world. He's got experience, enterprise experience. We've got international experience. And what I really love about entrepreneurs is how we can take varied experiences, bring them all together into one neatly packaged solution that actually solves problems in an uncommon fashion. And that's exactly what you and I are going to hear today. So if you've ever wanted to think out of the box, I think what's going to happen for you today is you're going to get some inspiration on how you might be able to do that very same thing. So hopefully you're ready to take some notes, to understand, to listen. And you know what? This is probably going to be one of those where you're going to need to listen to it multiple times. So let's get ready to understand the inner workings of the mind of Mr. Yuval Mor. Yuval, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I'm glad that you are joining us. Thank you for your time. I totally appreciate that. Now, with you being here, this being your first time, I have to ask you the same question that I tend to ask everybody the first time that they are here. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right. So I tend to look at today's entrepreneurs a lot like yesterday's superheroes, Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, etc. And I think entrepreneurs and superheroes have a number of things in common. For example, we use our special skills and abilities to, in general, improve the quality of life of other people and those around us. However, just like entrepreneurs, superheroes have a beginning. If you think about some of the origin stories of people like Spider-Man, he was just a college student taking photos, and then something happens to him and he discovers that he has a superhero ability and he has to go out there and use it for good or for evil. Now, my question to you is, before your current company, Beyond Verbal, before the write-ups in Forbes and CIO and MIT Technology Review, before all of the great things that people know you for today, what we want to know is, who is Yuval Mor?
So, first of all, I want to thank you a lot and the audience for the opportunity to participate. It's really an honor, and I'm really looking forward to it. So, thanks a lot for the opportunity. And I guess this is a very interesting angle that you are asking about, which I rarely get this question. And so, when I look back, it's interesting to me, for me to realize that, in a sense, I've probably been an entrepreneur from quite early stage in my life. I used to play professional sport when I was in high school. And at some point when I was, I think, 16, I decided that I want to open a school for young kids to get into this sport. And because it wasn't there, I opened on my own had the initiative to open this sports school for kids, third and fourth grade. And I actually went around, brought some quote unquote investors or people that contributed balls and shirts, and we created our own league. And I had to walk around between the different schools in my city and really recruit these kids. And it's one of the things that you are doing at an early stage, very naively. You don't even know really what you're going through. And what's the purpose. And then suddenly, after about 3-4 months, we had a fully operational school for 4 kids. They were practicing 2 times a week, and we had even a small league that we created, and we had about 50 of these kids. And I didn't know to call it entrepreneurship back then, but I guess it was something that just had there in me. So I was always interested in the power of bringing ideas to fruition, and really enjoyed it. So for me, it was kind of natural. I guess that's probably the interesting way to describe how it all started.
Interesting. And what sport was that?
This is a sport that is much more common in Europe and Asia actually than in the US.
Okay.
It's called the handball, and it's an Olympic sports. And somewhere between soccer and basketball, if you will. Very, very nice game, which I used to play, not as known in US as in Europe and Asia.
Got it. And just so that I heard you correctly, you started the school at age 16?
Yes.
This is awesome.
Yes, I know. and I'm telling you, it's one of the things you look back and you say, what was I thinking about, doing this and not doing it as like an external thing and not as part of the team that I was belonging to, because I thought I want to keep my own independence. So, and I'm looking back and I said, what was I thinking at the age of 16? But yes, I did it for about 2 years then.
Well, okay. And I think that's very an interesting thought is, what were you thinking? Because it doesn't sound like it was a profit motive as much as I want to maintain a particular type of lifestyle.
It was definitely not a financial motivation. When you take 4 and 3rd and 4th graders into this thing, you're doing it mostly for the love of what you do. And I think that if we want to think about like a common thread between all the things I did, but I think in general, things that are common for all entrepreneurs is really the passion for what they do. And I think very rarely, if ever, the motivation is financial. It's because you're passionate about what you're doing. It's because you want to change things that you think that are not done right, or there is a big opportunity, or you can change people's lives. I rarely think the motivation for true entrepreneurs is actually a really financial one.
Yeah,
to begin with.
I agree with you 100%. Now, one of the things that you said you did during that process, though, is you said you've quote unquote found investors. Now, you didn't like take a class that said this is how you find investors or get people to help you. What did you do? Just start asking?
So I had very specific needs. I needed to have shirts, so the kids, when they are coming to practice or when they go to play the game, in the league, so they would have their own shirts, with the logo and so on. And so it was very practical thing. So what I did is I went to talk with a few store chains in my area, in my city, and I said, would you be interested to sponsor this team? And again, same, very, very similar in a way with what you do with investors. You need to really find the people that can buy into your idea, can buy into your passion, into your enthusiasm, to the purpose of what you're doing it for, and you say, hey, join me for the ride. And they need to look you in the eyes, and they need to see the passion in your eyes, and they need to say, okay, we buy into it. And this is really, now that we are talking about it, this is really a common thread of how you find, and in this case, it was sponsors, not investors, but it's very similar.
Yeah, I totally get that. Now, how? So I want you to bridge the gap for us. How do you go from handball to beyond verbal? That sounds like a really large gap. So there's a story there.
So it's definitely, this thing goes back. I don't want to say how many dozens of years, because that would, say how old I am. But the getting to beyond verbal was definitely a journey. And, in between, I got into the high-tech area. I was involved with, before Beyond Verbal, as like a senior manager and also a CEO of one company before, of, like I said, 4 early stage companies, one company that went public in NASDAQ, and another 3 companies that were acquired. So in a sense, I almost see everything that I did until or before I started Beyond Verbal as really kind of leading the way and preparing me for this adventure, which is the most fascinating and exciting one I've been involved with. So it has definitely been a journey, and along the process, I really learned a lot. And I also, it's another, I think, important trait for an entrepreneur. I learned the value of asking for advice. I learned the power of coming to people and say, hey, I want to seek your advice, and actually meaning it, because in a lot of cases people come and say, yeah, I want to ask your advice, but they actually want to tell you more what they think. And I realized that when you come to people and you ask for their advice, they would really open their heart. They would tell you about their experience, good things, bad things. And it can really help you overcome a lot of challenges rather than doing it on your own. Really get some advice from people that have been there before. So it's really, like you said, it's really a journey. But I felt that when I started Beyond Verbal, I had a lot of experience to really go through all these, many of these challenges.
Got it. Okay. So why don't you do us a favor? Because a number of people are probably wondering, what is Beyond Verbal?
So Beyond Verbal is really a very interesting, I guess it's part of a journey. So what Beyond Verbal does is we have a technology that has actually been in development for over 20 years now. And when we started Beyond Verbal, we started it only 4.5 years ago. And the first thing we did is we acquired this technology, and that really helped us get to the market much faster. And what the technology does is it can listen to a speaker's voice, and we are only talking about the voice intonation, the music of the voice, if you will. We don't understand the words. We don't understand any of the meaning. We're just listening to the tone of voice, and we are trying to get as many insights as possible from the tone of voice. And these insights range from what is the emotional state of the person, going through, when you collect these emotions over time, what is the emotional wellness of the speaker. So something like how is he doing this week versus the previous week, the previous month, and so on. And all the way through being able to detect health conditions. And again, only by focusing or by monitoring the tone of voice.
Hold on. Wait a minute. I know someone is thinking the same thing, and I've just got to ask. What you're saying is that you've taught a machine to be able to read or interpret nonverbal communication solely based on my own vocal intonation.
When I'm talking, in front of people, investors, partners, and so on, I always warn them that at the end of the meeting, I'm going to listen very carefully to what they say. And if they say, this is very interesting, or this is very interesting, you can see how the tone is really the thing that is giving the whole meaning to what people are saying. So the words are exactly the same, but the meaning could be completely different just based on the tone of voice. So the short answer is yes, this is exactly what we were able to taught, in a way, kind of imitating the way the human brain is working, by interpreting these signals that exist in the voice.
Wow. Okay. That what's funny is that I was recently at an event and the guy was giving an example from stage with the following sentence about how the emphasis on words changes the meaning. The sentence he said was, it was, I didn't say you were beautiful. And then he said, I didn't say you were beautiful. And then he said, I didn't say you were beautiful. And what you're telling me is that your technology has the ability to pick up on those differences and tell us what's really going on under the surface. That's interesting, to say the least. Okay, so then
yes,
go ahead.
And I just want to emphasize that it's not the case that we can with this technology detect all these nuances that in the example that you gave. But really to give machines, whether it's smart home devices or smart cars, or your mobile phone, the ability to really communicate, and this is the real thing. This is where this whole technology and artificial intelligence is going towards, is to be able to really have a conversation with your home robot, smart home devices, cars, and so on and so forth. So the device would be able to respond based on your current mood. So if you come back home and you're very tired, you wouldn't want your robot to be like too cheerful. So you want the robot to be able to say, hey, I sense that you're a little bit tired. Should I put a relaxing music for you in your audio system? Or should I recommend to you like a very nice movie that you can sit in front of the TV and watch? So that's the kind of use cases that we would like to get to. And I think this is where the whole industry is going to.
Okay, then I've got a whole I've got a whole list of questions now. So, but chief among them is there's this moment in every entrepreneur's journey where they have what I call that superhero moment. It's where you realize, hey, I've got a special something here, and I can share it with other people. How on earth do you come to the realization that this beyond verbal is like something you can do and bring and help people's lives? Where does that come from?
So I shouldn't be the one to get any credit for this. I must be honest. Really, the guy that is behind all of this technology is the guy that is our chief scientist. His name is Dr. Levanon. And he's one of these phenomenal, crazy scientists that, come up with all these crazy ideas. Many times in his life that people are saying, what? And I'm actually more the one that is taking these ideas, realizing their potential and help them to bring them to realization, raise the money, find the right partners and so on. I guess for me, one of these moments that you're talking about actually happened just a couple of months ago. We have just completed a research study that we were doing with the Mayo Clinic about the ability to detect heart problems just based on the tone of voice. Again, one of the crazy ideas of our chief scientist. Mayo Clinic did this initial study, and they were able to find, using our technology, some specific voice features that correlated in a very significant way with the presence of a specific heart condition. It's called the coronary artery disease, CAD. And when they came up with these conclusions, and when I saw the results, I was saying, okay, now we have something that can really make a huge difference in the world. Really opened the eyes for me and kind of almost gave purpose to what we've been doing. We definitely have something here.
Wow. I okay, all right. This is beyond amazing at this particular moment. But the idea, I mean, you see this. This is the stuff that's in science fiction movies, is what you're talking about. You're bringing it to science fact, like in real life, and that's got to carry a certain amount of weight and responsibility to some degree.
It actually carries a lot of responsibilities, because when we were talking on like the initial use cases around understanding emotions and how it can be used in cases like, call centers or like home solutions and so on, this is one of these things that you say, okay, it can really bring a lot of value and it can make changes. But there's not that much of responsibilities when you have things that you're talking about in the health space, which is why, by the way, even though it's an area that we've been involved with for 8 years now, we never talk about any of this publicly, because I was really waiting to get like the stamp of approval from a leading institute like Mayo Clinic. But now that this is happening, this is really a wow moment. And now you say, okay, imagine what this can do to, healthcare, remote healthcare, rural areas where they don't have the existence or nearby kind of a medical center. Think of how much this can help elderly people where, they are at home and maybe they don't have someone that they can talk to on an ongoing. This is the type of things that you can say, wow, we can really make a big difference here. So there is a lot of responsibilities, and that's why we're taking it very, very seriously.
Wow. I mean, this has, I'm just trying to figure out how many like different use cases, as you're going through them. I'm just like, you're basically giving the, things like Siri and Cortana their personalities, but also making it useful, not just a cool feature, so that it can actually aid and help us in ways that would not be possible without technology. So with all of that being said, how on earth do you, how do you even go about developing a marketing strategy for something like this so that you can get it into all the right person's hands and make sure that we know that this is out there? It's amazing how technology is changing so many things. I mean, some of you out there are right now working on something that's really great, or you just had an idea for something that's really, really, really great, and it just has a long sales cycle. It's going to take a while for it to come to market. But here's the good news. The good news is that if you invent something cool, eventually a use will be found for it. And you can be patient. Just continue to work it out. You have a shot at creating something that could be utterly transforming for so many people. Just amazing being an entrepreneur and coming up with your own ideas. Your ideas are great, so go out there and use them to everyone's best benefit. With that being said, you know what? Let's just get right back to it.
You actually touched on the most important point in our whole go-to-market strategy, which is solely based on partnerships. And, as a startup that has a very important technology, the way for us to bring it to market is really to find the right partners that can integrate our product or our technology into their complete solution. Because what we provide at the end of the day is a very important feature, but it's a feature. It's not a complete product. And that's why what we do is a lot around finding the right partners, finding the right customers that can integrate what we have in their complete solution and making sure that they would bring it to market. So it's mostly getting on the radar and getting the attention of the right partners.
Got it. Well, you know what? This is starting to sound like that handball school all over again.
Yeah, in a way, I didn't think about it this way, but yeah, it definitely does sound like closing a circle.
You're like, oh, I've done this before. It's just, it's different. It's definitely more impact for sure. So what does it take, I guess, then, let's pretend for a second that there's another entrepreneur who's listening and they've got what they believe to be something that could be so universally applicable to so many different people. What has it taken in terms of perseverance and challenges that you guys have faced in order to get this far? Because it sounds like I can only imagine it's been a lot.
Perseverance is really, I think, the most important synonym to entrepreneurship.
I see.
Because as an entrepreneur, you really have to believe in what you do. You really all the time have to bring people on board, have people faith in what you do, in your vision, in where this whole thing is going. And what you really want to find along the way is partners, people, to run with, people that will help you and support you and give you advice and can help you get to the right people, mostly in the face of challenges. Sometimes things don't work the way you want. Sometimes you're running very low on cash, and you have to look inside yourself and see, really develop this strong gut feeling and just trust your instincts. I guess that's the best way I can describe it.
Well, you bring up two things that I know a number of people are dealing with. Because you said there are times where you're going to be low in cash, and there are going to be times where, for lack of a better way of putting it, partners and teammates aren't exactly on board, or they're leaving. How did you grow comfortable or with the low cash scenario? Let's tackle that one first, because a lot of people can't get over that one feeling like I feel like I'm gonna run out of money, and the only thing they can think about is I'm gonna run out of money, and they never take the time to actually go solve the problem. They just don't want to deal with that feeling anymore, and then they quit. How did you get through that?
So really, the cash flow thing, I guess, is the most detrimental factor, because, if a customer is not happy, you can improve things. And, if you have bugs in the technology, you can fix it. But cash is really like blood to the brain. And if at some point there's not enough blood coming to the brain stops operating. So that's a very, very key question. And, for me, the group of investors that I had, gathered around me through the process, and basically at some key points, look them straight in the eyes and say, listen, guys, we need to decide if we believe in this. And if we are, then let's think together what's the best way to deal with this, because it's important to have the realization, or to have the people around you where you realize you're not alone. And I was very fortunate. I had a group of investors, some of them, like representing private investors, and I had great support through the process. And I can tell you, definitely been a few cases where we've been very, very short on cash. And this is when you have to be the sharpest. I can tell you that actually one of my investors keeps saying that when you're low on cash, it actually helps you to crystallize your thoughts. So let's focus on really the things that bring value. Let's find really a customer that can validate what we are doing, and that may convince other investors to join. So I guess my thing is, rather than making you like incompetent, this is where you really, really have to be sharp and very crystal clear and see what you really want to focus on, and then then just go and execute like crazy. I don't know if this is an extremely useful advice, but definitely it can really make you like very low, or it can make you very sharp. So at least, and that was the way I was always looking at it, I want to make sure that if it doesn't work, at least I would be able to look back and say I did the utmost maximum that I could have done.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, what about the people part? Because a lot of people have trouble with that part too, in terms of maybe they start out with a team or team members start leaving and right in the middle of cash flow issues, or all kinds of interesting things happen, obviously, to us as entrepreneurs as we're trying to bring something to market. How have you handled those situations?
So first of all, the people issue is really, right after having the enough cash, but I guess in a lot of cases, even before that, it's really the key elements, because people are the ones that make the difference. And also people is where you invest most of your energy. And if people that worked for you for 1, 2, 3 years, they decide to leave, it's really a big problem for the company. So, as the leader of the company, you really want to invest a lot. People always say, it's all about the people, but it really is a lot about the people. And about the way to handle it, I think it all comes down to leadership. If you are able to convince people about your vision, about your dream, about the cause, why are you doing all of this, then they would join the ride. And you should also check, because some of them can be so committed that they would say, okay, I'm ready to forgive like 2 or 3 months of salary in order to help the company in exchange for additional equity or more compensation in the future and so on. So if you're being very honest and open with the people that you are working with, and you say, this is the current problem, I'm doing my best to handle it. This is what our investors, our customers are saying, but I believe in this. So if you are with me, let's see what we can do together in order to get there. Again, no success is guaranteed here, but I think the key is to be very honest and to treat others the way you would like to be treated. And that can take you very long distances.
Yeah, agreed. Well, it's clearly obvious to me that you've had a lot of experience in various different areas of business, and that's great. So I've got what I think is going to be an interesting question for a number of people, because they're going to want to hear your answer, because you didn't start. I mean, yeah, you started the Handball, but you were working with other people's visions from time to time. When you were working, we'll say, inside those other companies, what gave you the, I should say, courage to go do it on your own?
I felt that I am ready. So, when I'm getting now through tough times, and I talk, with my family, my brother, my wife, they all looked to me smiling, and they said, what are you complaining about? You were asking for it. This is the life that you chose. So, just deal with it. You don't have the right to whine and moan about this. So when I came to this thing with Beyond Verbal, I was ready. I understood the technology. I understood the impact that it can have. And I had the feeling, kind of really the fire in my belly, if you will, to say, I think I can make it. I can make it happen. I can bring people on board. I can bring investors. I can convince customers, and it's something that I'm willing to give, very good time, very good years of my life in order to make it happen. So you need to have this fire in your belly, doing something that you really believe in. And, you don't know what you don't know, but you want to be in a situation that you feel that you have enough to start the journey. and just give it your best. I can tell you that when I started this and I looked at my partners, looked them in the eyes, and I said, guys, I think we have it. I think that I can make it happen. So I was ready for it. That's why I can't complain anymore.
No, we do lose that right once we've chosen it. So
yes.
Now there's a number of people who they've listened this far and they're highly interested in what you're doing and understanding more about what you have going on. What's going to be the best next step for them to reach out to you guys or what to find out more?
I can tell you one fun way to experience what we are doing. We actually have an application that is available on Android and on Apple devices. And the application is called Moodys, Moodis. And what this application does is once you install it, you activate it, and you can start talking to the application. And after about 20 seconds, you would start getting analysis of your emotions or the emotions of the speaker. You can let your kids speak or your spouse or, your friends, and it will do an analysis of the moods, the emotions of the speaker in real time. And that's mostly, it's not like a commercial application. It's a really fun way to experience what the technology on the emotions, not on the health side, but on the emotions, what it can do. I can tell you that I'm using the application when I'm preparing for important presentation in front of big audience. Instead of practicing just in front of the mirror, I can practice in front of Moodys, and
Nice.
I have like a talking mirror.
Nice.
Mirror on the wall, who is the best speaker of them all. And so the application would tell me, listen, you sound tired, you sound nervous, or you sound, excited and engaged. And this way I know if I'm ready to do these types of presentations.
Wow.
Sure, we have a website and so on, but I think a fun way for the audience to really experience it is download Moodys and give it a try.
I agreed. I'm looking at it now. I actually downloaded it while you were talking because I was like, I want to do this. I can't wait. I can, and on some level, I'm not sure I want my wife to know about this because then she's like, there's no more, I can't hide. It's like, she's like, you're upset. I can't say, no, I'm not. She'll be like, yes, you are. The application is telling me you're upset. It'll be fun. I could see this causing lots of trouble and also having lots of fun with it at the same time. Is there any other ways that we can help you make this happen for you guys?
I think that because most of the work that we are doing is really with partners, then a lot of it is a lot more strategic business development. What I can tell you specifically about Moodys is that once you are working with this, we actually give you, the user, the ability to vote on whether you agree with our analysis or not. And this is helping a lot because this all goes completely anonymously and so on, but goes into the algorithm and into the machine learning process and helps improve the algorithm. So the best way to help is use Moodys and vote. Say if you agree or disagree, and this can really help improve the algorithm down the road.
Indeed. Totally appreciate that a lot. So as we wind down here, I have a question for you because I definitely want to hear your answer. And let's pretend for a moment, Yuval, that we have someone listening who thinks they want to be an entrepreneur. They're standing in front of that superhero outfit store. They're ready to pick out their uniform and go to work and make it happen. But at the same time, as they're thinking all these big thoughts, that there's this other voice that exists in the back of their mind. And I know this voice. I know you've done battle with it. It's that voice that comes up from time to time to tell us what we can't do, how it's not going to work, and who are you to think that you could do something so great and no one's going to buy it and all this other stuff. And for some people, they're even related to that voice. So my question to you is as follows. If that person who's ready to get started in their own entrepreneurial journey was standing in front of you and you knew that they would actually follow through, they would actually do what you said, and they would do so in the next 24 to 48 hours, what would you suggest that they do?
So I think that listening to this voice is very important before you embark on the journey, because this voice is going to pop up again and again at all the wrong places, all the tough junctions, all the hard moments that you are going to face. And you need to be very, very clear, and you need to address this voice early on. So you can decide, listen, I'm going to take this voice, put this in a box because I've addressed all these questions, and I'm ready to go for it. And I won't have regrets. The most important thing is because, if it won't work after 2 years, hey, why didn't I listen to this voice? And I think that the way to do it is to look at it as an adventure. As something that, even if it doesn't work out, I still gave it a try and I didn't give up and I went after my dreams. So look deep inside, listen to all the naysayers, but then once you listen to all of them, you have to look inside and say, am I ready? And I think the journey worth it, because then you're following your own dream. It doesn't have to be a huge dream. When I did this handball school for kids, it wasn't a huge dream, but it was something that I owned. I think that it can be something small or something big. You have to listen to the voice and to say, I'm ready. Listen, guy, I'm ready to fight you and I'm going to make it happen. And follow your guts. That's I think the best advice that I can give.
Excellent and well said. I definitely want to congratulate you on all the, I can only imagine, long nights, hard work, etc. that you guys have been doing, and I definitely appreciate you taking the time to share your product, your information, the technology, just the journey, and your knowledge, your insight, and your wisdom here with us today, sir.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I enjoyed it a lot. And, if some listeners in the audience would embark on their own journey to become entrepreneurs, like I said, big or small, then, if we were able to help in this process, then we definitely did something right. So I'm very happy with the opportunity. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. Well, the least you can do is download the Moodys app, because I've already downloaded it and I'm going to have some fun with it. But more importantly, you'll be contributing to the cause, and like I know, that you want your technology to get better, be better, and help us more and more. So why not? Cost nothing, and you are already listening on the mobile device that has the ability to download it. You know how I know? Because you're listening to my voice. And that's exactly what I want you to do, is to go download it, because you never know what you just might learn about yourself. And I love the application of being able to practice in front of it so that you can know what kind of emotions you're projecting in your voice. So I think that's just amazing. Anyway, it's been fun talking to you guys today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.